Hello and welcome to the Wayfarer Podcast, Season 2, Episode 9. I'm your host, Jared, and we're here with
Jonathan,
Katya,
Zach,
Riley.
Riley. We're all back. This is exciting. Man, we got a lot of ground to cover today.
Mm-hmm.
Do we?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Just kind of things you say.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's good to be with you guys. I feel like it's been a little bit. How's everyone doing? Everyone doing good?
Yeah, we're pumped. Lots of great things happening. I mean, highlighting Mr. 2 rows ahead or aside me
Look at that ring.
is Jonathan.
Promise ring.
How
How
come
come
we
we
don't
don't
get a ring? That's kind of a rip-off. I want a ring.
You should
Whatever.
get a
You
ring,
do get a ring.
Jonathan.
Oh,
I mean,
you don't get an
eventually,
engagement
but,
ring,
yeah,
do you?
but that's okay.
Not yet. You'll get one. Congratulations, though.
Thank
by
you.
the way.
What are we
It's-
congratulating you on?
I got engaged.
Hey,
yeah.
congrats.
Thank you. She is an angel. I like what a gift from God, and it's kind of terrifying because it's. I feel like the wave of responsibility has started to hit me, and I'm like up at night pacing. And it's like I gotta. This is a big deal. This is a lot to be responsible for. So, but it's good responsibility.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Life-changing stuff. Katya, what's new with you?
Not engaged.
Really beautiful, world-changing.
Still
Katya,
single.
anything?
No, I feel right now is really fun. I mean, Easter's coming up soon, so I'm really excited about that. I always love the days leading up because I just feel like it's a very reflective time, and I've been really focusing in on my prayer life, which has been a really beautiful process. I'm just learning a lot about myself and my relationship with Christ, and it's very clarifying in a lot of fun ways. I mean, I feel like my path is just being very much revealed right now, and that's to say the least. So it's very exciting. I think that's the excitement happening in my life, and we can get into that later. But what about you, Zach?
So, lots going on. It's like super exciting time for us because it's spring. I was senior in high school for a daughter. She's graduating, going to college. So it's like that's a totally different season of life, but it's awesome. And I too, Easter coming up. I love Lent. I have a son who is 10. And he gave up nachos for Lent. So the other day he was like, "Dad, how many days are left in Lent? Because I'm curious." And I said, "Are you craving a nacho?" And he was like, "Yep." That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Precisely 3 weeks,
That's
my
right.
friend.
Coming up.
It's going to
How's-
be a long way.
How strict is the definition of a nacho?
Oh, yeah. It could be so many things.
Yeah, we've had this discussion because there's workarounds
Chips
for
and
it.
sauce.
Yeah.
You're like, that's not technically nachos,
He's
but
been pretty great. Like this was his idea. We started the season of Lent and kind of had a conversation about it as a family, and we took it really seriously. Nachos are his favorite thing other than hamburgers. And so he came up with that and said it's something that he almost daily wants a nacho. So he cut it out. So pretty serious.
wow, he's a better
Love that.
man than me.
Yeah. Riley, what's new in your world?
Ooh. Let's see. New. Oh, I've redone my room.
Nice.
I got a new bed. I built a new bed that took all day. Thanks, IKEA. That was great.
A new bed or a new bed frame? Just the frame? Or
New
did you get a new mattress too?
I did not a new
First thing,
mattress. Sorry. New frame, new headboard.
Thank you for specifying.
all
I
that.
was just curious.
It's pretty nice. I have loved it. And then I got like new bedding and like new shelves. Like I redid like
I love that.
the whole thing. The whole thing. It's looking really good.
Man, spring clean out. Let's
yeah,
go.
right? Yeah, this is like the first time I think I've ever like done something for my room and made it look good. And so I'm like, this is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Ugh, there's nothing better than walking into your like newly done room. It just feels so good. I rearrange my room from time to time for that reason.
I did get the rope lights that you can like bend and like
Ooh.
make shapes with. And I tried to make a palm tree with it. And it's like, it looks all right. It kind of looks like just like a splat on the wall, but it's close. I asked a few people and they were like, it kind of looks like a palm tree. It could pass. I was like, all right.
Aw.
I think it's 100% like a palm tree. The
Is
thing on your
it?
wall?
Yeah.
That's 100% a palm
Okay,
tree.
a couple of people were like, kind of just looks like a splat. And I was like,
Aw.
Fail.
You have to send a picture.
tried.
I think it looks like a palm tree.
Maybe insert it.
I'll put a
here.
picture in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You decide.
Does it look like the Nickelodeon logo?
Not a tree.
No,
Yeah.
You know, the splat?
No,
Like,
no,
I don't know.
but it's similar. In an alternate world,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's all of us.
Not
Spring.
that anybody asked, but
What
for
about you,
me,
Jared?
Jared, how are you?
That's all
I'm
of
trying to
us.
remember if we asked you or not. I couldn't.
Let's just get it a
Let's-
resentment.
Yeah.
Perfect segue.
Yeah. No, nothing really like crazy new. I've been just grinding away. Comedy's been going really well, so that's been a lot of fun. Getting booked on shows in the Tampa Bay area, so we're getting kind of funny sometimes. So that's fun.
Starting a DJ career.
Yeah,
Can we?
DJ on the side?
I don't even know when this one will air, but you have a big show coming up.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's not going to release in the next week. So
Mm. So
No,
this will
I
come
don't
out
think so.
after it. We'll find out.
yeah, that's good to know. If you came to that show and I wasn't funny and I bombed, I'm so sorry.
Oh, is this the coffee shop one?
It's-
yeah.
yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about? I'm so
A big
excited.
comedy show in like 5 days.
I
was gonna say,
know.
isn't it like Tuesday?
I just bought a
This is
mic
coming out.
stand
This
for
is
that
coming out.
today.
Great.
Yeah, I'm excited. I have a lot of people talking about it. Get your jokes ready. I'm so excited.
Yeah, well, so we'll see. So we'll see how it
See
goes.
how it went.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. You can have your money back. It's free. If you resent me for that, tune in for this conversation because it'll be great. That is what,
excited.
yeah, that is what we're talking about today. We've talked about a lot of things in season 2, a lot of the bumps in the road of the Christian journey, which I think have been really cool conversations. Any of them that stuck out to you guys as we've gone through and you're reflecting back on season 2? Because we're nearing the close of season 2.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more
So
episode.
bittersweet.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
More bitter than sweet. I love our conversations.
I think I went back and listened to one of the episodes a few weeks ago and was reminded again. I've said this along the way, but just the fact that these ideas are being talked about, I think we have had a good time having these conversations. But I think it's really important to put these topics out because they are the things that for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years people have struggled with this stuff. And when we don't talk about it, then you can feel like, I think I'm the only person struggling with this or facing that. Temptation was the one that came up for me. Like we brought a piece of art into Buddy Brew into a live conversation. And just that image of a particular person being drawn towards something that's pulling them towards a temptation. I thought that was a great conversation. So that one stuck out.
Yeah. Temptation's always a thing. I would say all of our conversations are very prevalent in my everyday life.
Yeah.
That maybe I'm not feeling all of them at the same time. That'd be awful. But like moments of temptation, definitely malaise has come up in a lot of conversations I have where maybe because I'm more aware of it now, I can understand and pinpoint it. But I'll be talking to close friends and they're like, I don't know, I'm doing everything, but it just, nothing is fulfilling. Like, I'm like, malaise.
Yeah.
And so it's been a really great term to be able to walk in my life with. So I would say malaise simply because I think it's the most unique, but the most common.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that because
Yeah.
like malaise has been the biggest one because I've been reading a book about it, just taking like a deeper dive into it because it's like we did that episode and like prepped for it even. And I was just like,
Yeah.
what is this? Like I've never heard this word, especially a CD. I've never heard that word before. So I was like, there's something around this. And then we did that episode and I was just like, dude, I got to know more about this. Like, this sounds exactly like everything going on in my life. Let's figure this out and dive into it. And so I've just been doing a further study into that. And that's been really good. And just seeing the prominence of like what's going on with like malaise in today's world, I feel like is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been real cool. Kind of what you guys are saying is that like giving the language for the things that we're experiencing, I think is really huge because it's easy to kind of wander through and like you have these like feelings and you don't know really how to place them or like how to talk about them even. So it's been fun to do that. And we get to do that again today with resentment, a more familiar word, I think, in culture. I don't think it's one that, more people are going to be familiar with than malaise. But when I initially say resentment, what kind of pops into your mind when you hear the word?
What do you think, Jared?
Wow.
Oh, no reverse again.
Yeah.
Classic.
Classic. So you don't have an answer. That's what I'm hearing.
I want to hear what you say.
Ladies first.
You always ask them the
Una-
questions.
not when it was what I'm excited about. That she was ready to just let me go. Yeah, when I think of resentment, I think of like a bitterness at another person typically for me. And it doesn't always have to be, I guess, another person. It could be an institution. But for me, I think I've seen it play out a lot in friendships when I feel like somebody has wronged me and it goes unaddressed or untalked about. Like I think it's very easy to let that it goes to bitterness for me where I'm just like frustrated and angry at somebody and I don't really know how to like it's just kind of building inside of me.
Yeah, it's kind of sad whenever I feel resentful because I'm like, this is a person. And it's funny because in seasons of resentment, I'll sit there and think like, this is a human with a soul and they like without their best knowledge, they've hurt me. And I'm sitting here like hating them. And it's such a sad experience whenever I'm resenting someone. And I definitely have had moments of it where people do things that just don't necessarily meet my expectation, or they cross a boundary, or they just completely catch me off guard, where I have to sit there and think like, how could this person do this to me? And I'm the center of the universe. And like, I'm the one who's been faulted. But here's this other person who is probably hurting in a different way and felt the need to do a certain thing. And so that's what I think when I think of resentment, Jared. Thanks for asking.
I don't think I've ever felt sad when it comes to resentment. I think I've more just like kind of get like upset, maybe a little angry sometimes. It's just like what the heck? Like why why are you canceling on me, you know? Like why are you canceling a road trip on me, you know?
Oh shoot.
Very specific.
That happened.
Did this? I'm just kidding. This is like an exaggeration. I'm not actually resenting
We're
him.
doing this live. We're doing this live.
A better way to work it out, man. Just kidding.
I
you
stand by
guys-
my decision. I was exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Don't say yes, then no.
This is a
I have
perfect
trauma with homecoming
opportunity.
with that.
I think we need more information.
It's been a theme in my life. All right, buddy. Anyway, let's go. Jonathan, go ahead. Jump in here.
So
Great.
tell us what happened. What happened with the road trip?
Let's talk this
Oh
out.
yeah, you want to hear about it? This is good. I'm not
Yeah,
like
it's not bad.
this isn't like I'm not like hating Jared, but I was a little upset, probably a little.
You didn't text me back, so
Yeah, I didn't text him back, which was me
Says a
like
lot.
showing a sign like, yeah, I'm a little upset about this. So we were planning to go into Nashville. We're gonna take a little road trip up there. Our friends from Ecstasis was doing an Inkwell event, and Zach and his family was going, and so we were gonna take a little bit, like a 2-day trip, go up there, drive up there, easy drive, fun time in the car,
I mean,
fun time in Nashville. Right?
10-hour trip up there,
Yeah.
10-hour trip back. We're gonna leave Wednesday, have to drive back Saturday.
Yeah, pretty fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, nothing. Unfortunately, I did do wrong because I kind of got excited about it, committed to it, and then I think really took inventory and was like, I can't do this. Like, I've been exhausted the last 2 weeks. I have to be in the office 3 days that week. I was going to be in the office full day Wednesday, so I didn't realize that when I committed to it. And so I texted Riley and bailed out of it, and that probably wasn't the best way to do it.
I think the story though. Thank you for telling the story. But
Thank you for
because
being
you
vulnerable.
early on you said that it's like a missed expectation can lead to resentment, and I think the story is a perfect example that it's not. Is it that big a deal? It's not that big a deal, and there was real reasons why you didn't want to follow through with that after you thought it through, gave it a little bit more time. That happens all the time, right? Where little commitments are made. I think something's going to happen, an expectation is set, then it gets missed. And then there's that little moment where something that's not that big ends up being held on to, and it does become big. I think it can, in this case, it probably didn't lead to significant acute resentment, but I think that's how slippery it can be, right? And you just heard on the other side of it, somebody has really legitimate reasons from their side why something happened, but it can still lead to bitterness, resentment. Yeah, that feeling. That's what came up for me when you said the word resentment. There's just a feeling. Like, I don't even know if I have words for it, but you know what that feels like when you're, we were talking about it earlier, and we said nursing that feeling of being frustrated with someone, because it's not still happening. It's something that happened and you're going back to it. The re-sentiment, you're returning back to that thing. Yeah.
You know what I thought of when you were saying that? I feel like a lot of times when I'm resenting someone and it's like an ongoing thing. So like you said, this kind of fizzled, it's whatever. But if you're actually in this moment of like, I can't stand this person, I feel in my own life, a lot of it reflects back to me. It's because I feel insecure on a certain thing and I'm simply placing blame on another. I don't know if that makes sense, but I am feeling, and not putting it towards this situation at all, but like I'm covering something because, and this person did something that wronged me, but the way I'm holding on to it is much deeper and it's not that person anymore.
Yeah. I think that to define the term resentment, if we could just put a definition on the board, like re-feeling is a really, really good definition for resentment, is that you're going back to a negative feeling, a negative emotion, bitterness or frustration, and you're re-feeling that. And so it's a conscious choice to participate in that and to continue to kind of nurse that re-feeling and to return back to it. You got something on your mind?
I'm thinking about the situation, and I like the perspective is always like when two people are communicating, you often think that the other person understands and sees what you see, and it's pretty much impossible to actually share your perspective fully, even if you sat there for an hour and like explained it all. And there's so much that gets missed, so that's where I think just the grace comes in. But I think of I've had situations with authority, like at previous jobs, and with my parents, and I think you kind of, that was an interesting point, that it's, you have an insecurity and someone doing something kind of makes you, it's not just because they did it, it's because it did something that like hits your button, and that makes it hurt more. And that's a humble position to reflect on yourself and say, why is this bothering me so much? Why is it getting to me? But I think that's the hard work that has to be done.
Like in my circumstance, it was this person had stood in my way that was from a big decision I was trying to make. And he stood in my way. But now thinking about it months later, consciously, did I actually want to do that big decision? And so it's like I have to think about it like that. Like it wasn't this person, but I really wanted to place a certain blame on him, where I fully had the capability of saying, whatever, continuing on my walk. But like I really just wanted to put the weight on him or her. And
it's easier to blame other people than to take inventory on yourself.
Yeah, it is, for sure. I mean, you point this way, you got right back at you.
I think that's such a, before we even go any further, because you were saying like, great to have the conversation, but the practicality of like, okay, we've all felt resentment. We've felt like we're returning back to that feeling of something that has happened. But I think you bring up a great point. If I notice that, what a great question. First of all, just to pay attention to, if I'm re-feeling something negative towards someone or a situation, pay attention to that. That's like that's the ground, that's the air of resentment, is that I'm returning back to this thing. It's not gone. Okay, well, that's going to happen. Like everything we've said on the wayfaring journey, temptation's going to be there. Doubt's going to be there. Fear's going to be there. The goal is not to say I'm never going to feel that ever again on this journey. No, there's going to be time where there's missed expectations, injuries, offenses, things like that. Okay, if I find myself re-feeling that, what a great question to say, why am I re-feeling this? Why is this bothering me so much? Like, just start there. And there's probably a lot of good reasons, but what a great question. I think even asking that question starts to move you away from just nursing that feeling, but getting to the source of it. But it's a tough question to ask, because you're asking an I question, not why are they so dumb, but why am I re-feeling this? Why is it sticking?
Yeah, and that takes time. It's not always in the moment that you can understand where your fault was. It takes months or even sometimes years to finally be like, oh, that's what it was. But there's always a lesson in that too, which is really great.
Yeah.
I should have supported you, Jared. I'm sorry. You had a good reason.
Are you not resentful anymore? Have you gotten over it?
I'm over it.
Oh,
I understand.
wow.
Cue the Full House music at the end of the episode.
No, I don't think I think like I was upset obviously at first, but like I understood. And like I didn't carry it with me forever. Like I carried it with me for maybe a day or two and I was like, whatever.
A week.
I think
the way you
4
texted
weeks.
me after and finally like we're like, hey man, it's all good, made me feel better.
Did I do that?
No, you didn't.
Well, I'm doing that now. Sounds like you got resentment.
What's the cost of, you just said something like I wasn't carrying that anymore. What's the cost that happens to us? Because that's like that classic thing that you hear about resentment, of it's poison and you drink it and wait for the person to die, and it actually costs us. So we actually lose something. What ends up happening to us?
I can like feel it right now. Like I have a person that not with Riley,
Now I got resentment again.
or anybody here, or anybody that's going to be listening. So don't think this is you. But there was somebody in my past who I like wanted to be closer friends with, and it didn't work out. And we were like, this is a dude, and
A dude did.
he kind of made it seemed like he kind of made the decision he didn't want to be closer friends, and I wanted to be closer friends, which like really hurt me. And it was like interesting because I felt like we had like a solid enough friendship to like continue. And like I could still feel resentment to him about that, of like the feeling of rejection and like the hurt that comes with that. And I think it's like interesting because it's like I can also like self-reflect and understand why personally in my story that would hurt so much. But it's still hard to like try to let that go. And it's like I saw him recently and I almost expected an apology from him over something that was like, it's not even on his mind. He doesn't even think about this anymore. But it's like still so prevalent for me. And it's like fascinating to like sit here and like hold that and know that it's like, well, it's only hurting me. It's like, and it's like, if I don't think about it, it doesn't hurt and I can just move past it. But like there is this interesting where it can linger and still be something that you pick at every once in a while.
And if it's people close to you, you miss out on relationship. And for my case with my parents, I was just so, especially in my like mid-teens, I was just so resentful towards them for just being strict and like not allowing me to do dumb things. And it's funny now looking back, like I'm living the way now that they wanted me to live, and my relationship with my parents is just, it's wonderful, and like I love them dearly, and we spend a lot of time together, and it's like one of the sweetest things in my life. And like I think back to when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, just like counting the days to move out. It's like I could have had so much more time with them and enjoyed that with them. And I'm glad I'm able to see that now. But it's like, if it's people close to you, you miss out, and for what?
And I don't think you just miss out on that relationship, right? Like even now, if you were still nursing that resentment towards your parents, that bleeds over. Like there's an energy that comes, and we've felt that, right? When we're nursing something like that it prevents me from having a good open relationship with the friends that I currently have. So that thing that happened years ago, if I haven't addressed it and let that go, I'm still carrying that around. It's hurting the relationship with that person, but it's also starting to compromise this next relationship, right? And so thankful that now, especially you're engaged and your life is widening out, that part has been mended, and so it can widen out with it. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I had to start there and fix that first before I could go outside of it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's like the old saying of when you're resenting someone, you're not only digging their grave, but you're digging your own. And I even could recall there was this time I met someone up and we were just hanging out, and they brought up something that had happened years ago and started crying. And I was like, I had no clue you were even holding that. And it's like, you're only hurting yourself by just holding on to this piece of anger in your past. And I mean, it does hurt, and there is something to be taken out of a moment of hurt, but I don't know, you just got to let it go. And that's the hardest part, is that letting it go.
Yeah. Well, I think we should get to that in a second, because like, how hard is it? How do we actually practically start to build a capacity to let things go? But I think it's healthy to know it will eat away at you. It will steal things, to hold on to it and to keep going back to it. And we've all done it. I've done it. And you know that feeling where you're like, I can start thinking about that person and a feeling comes up and I go, I want to sit there with that a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Pay attention to that. That's the re-feeling that leads to bitterness that then starts to, the stuff that you water is going to grow.
I feel like it's almost masochistic when you're thinking like just bubbles up every time some name comes up. Like, it's ruining your moment and everyone else's by just festering on a feeling. And I don't know. I think that there's something to be said when you can it takes a lot of wisdom, I think, in order to get to the point of just letting things slide off. Because I've talked about it before, like, people are really difficult. I think that's my maturing moment, is realizing that, you won't always have that closure moment too when it comes like to resentment. Like, there's some people out there who like hate their parents and like will resent them for the rest of their life. And that's a hard feeling, and it's difficult to walk through.
Well, I think it goes into the, like, how can we give that much grace to someone, even if they never even try to make it right? And I think like we say, the vision is Jesus. That's the ultimate example. And you think how much God could resent us for all the terrible things and all the terrible things that other people have done, and yet Christ is the one that got whipped with the cat of nine tails and got hung up on a cross with nails through his hands to suffocate to death. Like, he's the one that took all that instead of holding it against us. And like, if he can do that for us, like, that's the least we could do, is forgive something small.
I think that with Easter in view, that's the thing, like the cross of this finality of this instrument of torture and death, that's the ultimate display of power. And yet God takes that power and flips it on his head. And it's the power of love that swallows that up and says, I forgive you. I'm going to forgive you, even though what you did was wrong. And I think that's the solve out of it. Like, if we try to like work this out to be like, well, who is right? Who is wrong? Who is justified in whatever situation? You're never going to get there, right? Especially because everybody has their own view and their own experience. And so from their perspective, they were acting maybe even according to what they thought was right, but it ended up being for a wrong. And so the love that forgives and says there could even be a wrong or an injustice, but I want love wills the good of the other. I want you to flourish, and I'm going to flourish. I'm not going to hold on to that. So I want to seek your highest good, and I'm going to choose that. That's more powerful than me nursing this feeling that's actually going to steal something from me. But I'm curious, have you ever been able to successfully do that, where you've been wronged and you really did forgive someone and let it go?
Yes.
And if so, what was it that helped you get to that point, to where you could do that?
I recently did. So I had been resenting. Did I not just talk about this at the beginning of the podcast? I'm just going to keep talking about it. I'm telling you, it was such a pivotal moment because I had been resenting this individual for such a long time. And I was very open about it. Like, I was in prayer. I would constantly pray, like, take this from me. Like, I don't want to feel this way every time I see this person. Like, I don't want to carry this anymore. And a big portion of how I overcame that was in prayer, asking God to replace my own desires, my own angers, my own hatred with his will. Because if it's in his will for me to forgive this person, or if it's in his will for me to be friends with this person, like, we will be friends, or we will be, not friends. I don't know. And so prayer was definitely something that helped me. But I will say time also was a great thing too, because in seeing this person living on their own life and being merry about it too, like not thinking about me or anything about that, I was like, why am I hurting myself like this? And that's honestly, in simple terms, how I walked through that resentment. And also knowing that like I'm forgiven for any resentment that I was holding. And that's the beauty of the relationship with God too, is that you really are forgiven, and it's such a load off your soul. You're like, I can just walk away from this and know that it's okay. And it is. And I'm good. It's honestly been such a feat, and there's no better feeling. And it also just, I think, thinking about well, actually, I'll let everyone answer before I get into my spiel.
So the question was, how have you gotten through that resentment, that feeling, like getting out of it?
Yeah.
It took, I had to recognize that they're like broken people just like I am, and it's like, why would I point out the speck when there's, a plank in my own eye? And a lot of it was just humbling myself. Like, who am I to hold this against them? And oftentimes their intentions, like from their perspective, were probably good, and it's like they can't see everything, they can't understand it, so just letting it go.
Yeah. I love that gracious perspective when you start, like you mentioned it, like those who have been forgiven much love much.
Yeah.
Like, so a starting place of just being like, maybe even back up one, because we live in such a perfectionist society that's like, I can't mess up, I've got to be perfect. And then something happens and you go, well, you're wrong in that, and I've got to hold my ground. If we can just be much more generous and be like, yeah, we're broken. I'm sure I had a part in that. Like 100%. Like, did I not text you back? 199% sure. Yes, I've not texted you back because I'm terrible at it. Did that create offense? Probably. I've got to own that. I've got to work on that. We've all got a part in it. So have I been forgiven much? If I can start there and get that in view, well, that's why we say vision up, vision in, vision out. Like, before I look to my parents or to this person, I've got to go, okay, how have I been loved? How have I been forgiven? Okay. And could have been 100% justified resenting me for all of the ways that I took advantage of that, but forgiven much, loved much. And then, as you're saying, the graciousness to be like, man, if that's true for me, that's true for them.
Yeah.
And what do I want? Well, I want relationship with these. I mean, that's the greater treasure. Well, what's in the way of it? Me holding them up to an unreasonable expectation, or me up to an unreasonable expectation, or both of us? Like, can we just not do that? Yeah. What else? You got one? It's helped you in a time where you've tried to let go.
Yeah, I think it'd be really tough. Like, I think definitely like trying to just understand the whole context of, they're a person, they're working through life. Like, I had it, I was at a comedy show and I interrupted. I was like trying to shout something at the comedian because he like kind of asked a question and I answered it. It messed up his set. And he was like, oh, this guy, he's an open micer too. And like roasted me pretty hard. And I was just like sitting there and I was like, I can't believe this guy made so much fun of me, like, screw you, dude. Like, all this different stuff. And then I was like, but he was right, I messed up his set, I shouldn't have said anything. All that. And I went up and apologized to him. Like, it was actually weeks later because he left right after his set, so I didn't get to see him. And he was like, dude, I was so grumpy that night, I'm sorry. And it's like one of those things where it's like we could have become like mortal enemies and never talked ever again. Like, I did kind of hate him in the moment, and I was like, I'll never talk to this dude again. And then it's just like, no, he's just a person.
What did he say?
He just made fun.
But I'm kind of curious.
I mean, it wasn't anything that crazy, to be honest. He was just kind of like, you're an open micer and you're messing up my set, like, which was fair. He wasn't wrong with anything that he said. It was just kind of brutal in the audience.
Cool though. Good job. I mean, well done. You said it's not easy. And I think that's part of what I hope came out of all these conversations about all of them, is that any idea that like, oh yeah, we just talk about that stuff and you just snap your fingers and see, it's not easy. You're going to feel that.
Do you think resentment's always voluntary? because I feel like some of the conversation we've had is like you were choosing to hold on to resentment, and like part of it, like me with the guy from years ago, that it's nobody listening to this, I promise. I like don't really want to hold it against him, but like it's still like maybe it's not resentment, it's just hurt over that relationship. Maybe that's different. But like I wouldn't say like I'm actively choosing to hold on to that. Like I
think you make a great point.
but I would say like I'm sad and bitter over it.
Yeah.
Like for sure. But like I'm not like trying to choose to hold on to that. Like I saw him recently and I wanted that to be a good interaction, then I was just sad about it.
Yeah. I think you make a great point that the hurt part of that feeling is real. Like a hurt, that's a good conversation to have. Like, man, I notice that this relationship, this person, when I see them, something hurts. Well, pay attention to that, right? That's telling you something. So pay attention to that. I think that's different than that resentment piece that says, I'm going to re-feel the feeling that comes right on the other side of that hurt, right? The hurt happens, and then I feel bitterness towards you because you hurt me. Resentment would be going back to that feeling and watering that and being like, yeah, I was justified in that. And that guy really is and you fill in the blank and start nursing that. Now the hurt exists. That's not resentment, but you've gone down the trail re-feeling that thing that comes on the other side of that hurt. I think that's the great distinction to make, right? Yeah. Still worth attending to, right? How many of us are left open because, again, we don't have to tag on another episode, but just what do we do with old hurts? Because I think there's opportunity there for resentment and bitterness to spring up when we're not honest that did hurt me, right? Yeah. And deal with that.
Yeah, I don't quite know what to do if it was old hurt, but like I have a time, like it was, like when I look back, it was pretty silly, but at the time it like really like hurt me. And I think it was like my 18th birthday, and like somebody, like a mentor in my life, forgot to like tell me happy birthday, and it like deeply like hurt me because I was like, dude, you're supposed to be like one of the biggest people in my life, like impacting my life, and you forgot to tell me happy birthday. And it's like, it sounds silly, but at the time it was like so huge to me because it was like, you forgot about me. And I held on to it for like 2-3 weeks, and I had to eventually like call him up and be like, hey dude, I've been really upset at you because you forgot my birthday. And I'm like, I know it might sound silly, but like it deeply hurt me because it made me feel like you forgot about me. And I had to I had to call it out and be like, dude, you hurt me, to like move on, because I just kept holding on to it. And if I kept holding on to it, it would have just ruined that relationship forever. And it's like, I'm still great friends with this person. And it's like, I'm thankful that I was able to like go through that hurt with that person. But like, that was pretty recent. I don't know what to do with like, if it was an old hurt. But for me, like if it's an active hurt and I'm like holding resentment towards that person, like I need to talk about it with that person and like kind of like kindle that fire.
Even just well done. I mean, that's really mature of you and really wonderful to the relationship. That was a wonderful thing for both sides of that relationship. But just the reality that we're so busy most of the time that to sit around and go, man, I think that hurt a little bit. What do I do with that? It takes time to pay attention to what's going on in us. And even in this conversation, if we don't, then right along the way, temptation, fear, doubt, resentment, acedia, like there's a spiritual war ready to seize opportunity on all these little foxes, right, that aren't attended to. But who's got time for that? Because we're busy and we're going to the next thing. So I think another great point is being made. Like you were paying attention to that and you noticed something and you took action about it. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, the hurt aspect's really interesting because I wonder if hurt dwindles over time. Like I wonder if it's because of that resentment it lives on, but if we just allowed things to be, like what would the time span of that life of hurt be? It's poetic.
I think it certainly could, right? You have a hurt, you have an injury to a relationship, and it's going to take time for it to naturally heal, for you to get perspective and distance from that and make sense of it. Like there's a natural healing process, even a grieving process in a relationship that could be taking place. And paralleling that, you might have opened up the door. We might have opened the door to resentment. And so we're re-feeling and like picking at that, provoking that, and it's prolonging the healing process. I could see that.
Oh, and it becomes a scar.
Yeah.
And you'll never forget it.
There you go.
That's a phenomenal metaphor.
Yeah. It could
Drop the
I think
mic.
it could happen.
Yeah. I don't know. So what I was going to say before, a story that really reminds me of resentment is the prodigal son story. And I think that it captures everything at all essences, because if you're not familiar, to sum it up, it's two sons, a father. The eldest son decides, I want all of my earnings from his father, takes it, leaves, spends it all on a bunch of wasteful things, and comes back realizing he's poor and weak and vulnerable to the world, and decides, like, I'm going to go back to my father and I'm going to completely drop everything because I just want to work for him. Like, I don't even need to be claimed as his son at this point. Like, I'll just be his employee. So he comes back expecting his father to completely just be like, you scum of the earth, like, come work for me, whatever. But instead he comes with open arms and loving, because that goodness and that humility still existed in him. And the younger son, in turn, feels a sort of resentment because he had been working for his father, being good, and not doing what his other brother did, and got almost none of that kind of celebration for doing good. And I think that resentment is reflected in this story, because a lot of times, even when we wrong other people and we go back very vulnerable, almost like, I think we said a story here today where it's like, if you're genuinely sad and you're genuinely wanting to rekindle a relationship, if you're entering that, like, asking for an apology in a genuine way, like, they will always open arms if they are also in the same mindset, accepting your apology. And it's like, I think reflecting the father is a phenomenal thing. And I think that story honestly helped me put a cherry on top in how I got over my resentment. Because then in turn, a lot of times I feel like the younger brother, that's like, why would you not give me that sort of attention or that kind of love, even though I've been here? And the story ends with the father telling the son, what is mine is yours. Something to the effect of, like, what was lost is now found, and we must celebrate that. And I think it just all goes down to the fact that Zach says it all the time, how we are, if you took off our human bodies, we are unique souls, or something to that effect.
It's the Lewis quote is that we go back to all the time. There's no mere mortals, right? Like, we're imbued with this incredible dignity, every single person.
Yeah. And so it's remembering that we're not here to go out for each other. And if we are, then we're living, following like an evil presence instead of following light, and it's hurting us more than it's helping us. And so that's kind of how, I'm telling you, that story was the cherry on top for me of how I got over mine, because it's beautiful.
Yeah, when the father takes main stage in the prodigal son story, right? It's the prodigal son story, but it's really this father who's father to both of these young men, and is like, he's got an arm around this one and an arm around this one, and he's like, that's the point, right? Like, this is the point. And I've made something sufficient for both of you. You're mine, and that's never going to change, right? That's the story. And I think that is the solve ultimately for resentment, is to remember, it can be cheesy and corny to say, but remember whose you are and who you are, right? Like, you belong to God. You are a child of God. He loves you, and everything he has is yours. And you're safe and secure in that. So you don't have to fight and scrap. And this world people are going to let you down. Jesus trusted no man. This world is going to just let you down. There's going to be hurts, missed expectations, injury all the way around. But that's why the vision is Jesus. What does it look like to be a human? What does it look like to find our way forward and to make the ascent on this wayfaring journey? And the solve out of resentment is to go, what did he do? He was enough. He knew that everything the Father had was his. And so he was able to say, I'm going to forgive you and choose to love you. Like, it's going to pass right through me to you. And if we can live like that, there's a freedom that comes and a beauty that comes to our life that is only possible if we share that beautiful fatherhood of God, right? Like that we can rest secure because we don't have to fight and scrap. That's what I find so beautiful about the Christian story, is that it's this one true myth that if it's true, then there is enough and I'm safe and secure and I can forgive like that. And I don't have to cover up and be perfect all the time, right? It's beautiful. That prodigal son story is phenomenal. If you haven't read it for a while, go back and read it. And then there's a Rembrandt painting of it that's just stunning. So I would go look that up. Gorgeous.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Resentment. It's another one of the challenges for sure.
It is. And this hard part is the fact, like you said it, we're going to encounter it so many times. And it's like, I'm a fool if I think that that's going to be the last time I experience something like that. So growing all the wiser is always a good idea.
Yeah. If you're driving along and you notice yourself re-feeling bitterness about something that happened in the past, don't beat yourself up about it, but now you have language for it. That's resentment, right? What do I do with that?
Good conversation. Guys, we only have one more episode left for season 2.
Yeah.
The
coming up.
season's flown by.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we covered the map in season 1, and got language for the journey. And then felt like this one important to have these conversations. What gets in the way of those ascents that we're trying to make? It's season 2.
3.
There you go.
There we go. Until
Absolutely.
the final episode.
Yeah.
Until the final episode.
What's next?
There you go.
Well, thanks so much for joining in. Feel free to like and subscribe. Share this with somebody who you think that you might be resentful towards. Maybe that's a good little way in, Hey,
hilarious.
you should listen to this. Yeah.
You just
You
haven't
should
talked to
listen
someone
to
for
this.
months. All of a sudden you get an episode
On
called
resentment.
Resentment.
I'll send
Don't be
this.
shocked when you get this episode.
I'll send this to my buddy.
That's right.
Just kidding. That'd be bananas. All right, guys.
Peace. I like that.
Peace,
All right.
everybody.
Bye,
Until next
everyone.
time.
Adios.